Welcome everyone to the channel. Today we're working on this 1994 Dodge van. I have a few of these. We're going to chop them up and make a party van. So let's get started. Yeah, I think it's a 1994. Get a crank up. Right. I want this one particularly for the chrome bumper on the front and back. So this is going to be the front and back of our party van. These two without the chrome bumpers will just be using for the center sections here and probably the back of one. I'm going to go ahead and drill the mounting post and get them all taken apart, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Get the same interior, but the one with the chrome really stands out. I'll take those apart next. Put like a sticky pad down here that's going to catch all the shavings from cutting the metal. I didn't drill this one out all the way because it might be beneficial that it's still held together while I cut through the glass on top. Alright, next I'm going to make a cut along the doors across the top, down the other side there, of the front section, and then we'll see what I want to do. Alright, since we're going to keep the chrome bumper on this one, we're going to make our first cut back here, right there across the top and right between these windows down the other side. I'll take a piece of tape and probably mark it, and we'll do those cuts next. Making the cut on the passenger side is going to be very easy. There's a line that's already visible, but over here it's a guessing game. There's no line. I'm going to have to create one, but I'm going to have to be precise. So I'm going to have to get a measurement from this corner to that line and transfer that measurement over here so it's the same distance, and do the same thing down here on the bottom. But I think I'm going to cut this side first all the way through, and then I'll have a defining line here that I can just connect to the bottom with my measurement. And same with the top. I'll have this defining line cut right here that I can see, and hopefully it will just help me get a better measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this side first. Alright, I'm making good progress. I'll let you know when I get through. I'm about halfway through this side. Alright, fortunately there's a line here in the chassis that's right in the line with the door, so I was able to just follow that straight across and make a mark there. And then on the top, I'm just eyeballing it from here to there. You can pretty much see it has to be about the same size as over here, which is very narrow. If it's not perfect, hopefully I can sand it out. But I'm going to go ahead and connect those two lines next, and then we'll have it cut in half. I'm all the way through. I made the mark on the top to continue cutting the glass. I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling the mounting post and get it apart. And the back half is loose. I just got to get the pins drilled. Alright, the mounting pins are drilled. Body comes right off. Set that aside. I'll continue cutting this next. My line looks a little crooked, but hopefully I can work it out with the next piece when I go to put them together. It's kind of hard to judge. Nothing on the vehicle was square really to get a nice measurement, so I just had to guess at it. I am noticing the line is a little bit crooked. This side's thicker than that side. I'll have to sand this edge down some to be the same as that one, but that shouldn't be that big a deal. We're going to piece probably two more band sections in here at least, so we'll see how it goes. Now that I have these pieces lined up, this is the length I want this van to be. And then we'll have two sets of wheels in the back, and we'll add this on here. So that'd be just a hair shorter, but this will be the overall length of our van when we're done. We'll start by cutting out the center section of this one next. I don't think I need to keep it together. I could probably just cut the windows later. Might actually be easier without them. I'll get this position down here and get to cutting. We got our first cut in the second van done. Two more cuts to make and we'll have all the pieces. One more cut here and I'll have these double doors, and then I'm going to cut the back off square on the van right from that bumper line up. Alright, it's time for a progress report. I finally have all the pieces that I need. Getting this last part cut out, which was the back of the van, was a little more difficult because the mounting pin went right up the back of the van and into the roof. So it ended up causing me to have two pieces once I got the back off of there, which with all these other pieces going on, I guess it's not going to make a difference. I'll figure out some way to make it work without these connecting across the top. Shouldn't be that big a deal to figure out something. What I need to do next is spend some time sanding on each piece and make sure that when they butt together that I've got them as straight as I can get them. This one still needs a little bit more sanding, I think. So that's going to take a little while. I've been working on these two already, just using some sandpaper and my files to get the contours that I need. Pretty easy, just straight lines, trying to keep them straight. I guess I'll get all the pieces ready and make sure everything fits before I start gluing anything together. So I'm going to spend some time sanding those, and then when I get back, hopefully we'll be able to glue it together. And I think with the scrap pieces, we could make a little tiny van, little mini van with these two pieces here. Be kind of neat. Should have plenty of parts left over. I might do that. Alright, here's another look of what it should look like once I'm kind of finished. I took some tape just to hold those pieces together. I'm going to take the door section that should be here and move it to the other side, and then just swap them so we have a window. It doesn't make much sense to have 6 double doors, so I'm going to make it this way. I have all these pieces sanded well enough to put together the way I want them to be. I put them in some denatured alcohol, and I went over each one and got rid of the decals and deglossed it some. Some paint came off more in some spots than others. The paint on the light green one, for some reason, it just sticks better. I don't know. I didn't do anything different to it than I did these, but I don't know. I probably should have stripped the whole thing, but I don't know. I like to cut corners and do experiments so I can pay for it later, just to see if it'll work. Alright, but I think everything's ready to glue together. I'm going to go ahead and get some super glue and start putting these pieces the way that I want them. Alright, let's get this first piece. I'll let that set up and dry, and then we'll move on down the line. Alright, I'm making good progress. Just gotta put this piece together, but first I'm gonna put this on, let it sit up for a little while, and then make one final connection. do that now. I'll get this right where I want it and I'll let it dry. Alright, after a bunch of sanding, I think that's about the best I'm going to get these to line up. Hopefully I can fill everything in with glue. I'm going to go ahead and fuse these two sections together, and we'll have the whole van in one piece. Alright, now it just needs to dry. We'll do some more sanding. And while we're at it, I might as well stick these two pieces together and we'll have a little baby van. Get that lined up right where I want it. Now the van is prepped and ready for paint. I'm going to mix up our color and get started. Start with this orange color I have here. And I want it to have some metal flake. So I'm going to add some of this metallic craft paint to the mix. And I'm going to add some paint conditioner to thin it out. Now let's get that mixed up and see where we're at. Alright, you can see the metal flake in there. I'm going to go ahead and shoot it onto the vehicle and see what we get. Alright, I always strain my paint through this little thing here. Alright, we're ready to paint. Alright, I have all the coats on the van. Here's the driver's side. I didn't think it was going to turn out looking as straight as it does. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty good. I'll probably have to paint the mint color in by hand around the headlights, since I did tape this area. I just peeled the tape off a minute ago. But it looks pretty good, even if I didn't paint that in. But I'm going to try to, I think. Let's get this moved over to the workbench and we'll start fabricating the chassis. Alright, it's probably going to take at least 2 chassis. Might take all 3 chassis. Get all these chassis together. Get the wheels out of these chassis. Got one out already. That's another thing, is I'm going to have to find 5 matching wheels to put on this van after we get this part figured out. Alright, all the wheels are removed. I think we'll start with the front of the vehicle. So we'll place this. Actually, I might need to put the interior on there so it fits just right. Pretty easy decision here. Just going to cut the chassis straight across and remove the whole back section. And then we'll cut the next chassis straight across and remove the front section. Then we'll butt those together and see where we're at after that. Once we butt those together, we should be about right here when we with our next one. Yeah, we'll probably have to take a third one and cut both sides off and put in there, maybe in the middle. Well, yeah, the more I study on it. Well, before I make any cuts, let me study on it, but I think it's going to be something like that. Okay, I will cut, like I said, we'll have one piece of chassis that removes the front and back clip, and it'll just be the center of the chassis. Then we'll cut the front clip off of this one, but it'll be more than the front clip, probably about in the halfway point. Cut the next chassis at about the halfway point, and that should put the wheels by the first set of wheels. Then we'll have to cut a smaller section from what was left from the center chassis to put two back wheel sections together. That's the best way I can explain it. You'll see as we move along. Alright, I'm going to use the jeweler's saw to make this cut. I'm going to try to make it as straight as I can, which never really comes out straight, but I try. Alright, we have the first piece cut. Now I need to cut the front and back clip off of here just by following the designated lines that are already there. Do that next. Alright, let's get this front clip cut off of there. And we'll have our center piece next. We have the center section that will attach to the front section. I'm going to fuse these two together next. I'll probably have to do a little sanding first. We'll get these two put together next though, because I don't want all the pieces fumbling around. So we'll have half of the chassis, and then we'll move on to the last two sections after that straight. Alright, let's see when I hold this up here. I held it up here, I had it just right, and they fit together great. So I don't think I even need to sand them. I just need to apply the glue and put them together. Let's get some glue on here. And I'll let that dry right where it belongs. Now that I have the first two pieces put together, this is sitting exactly where I want it. I need to cut it right there where they meet, and then I'll just need the back section, and then I'll cut this off square, and then we'll need one more piece. I'm going to mark that where it is and then cut it next. Okay, we got one more cut to make. I'm going to cut that right across the mounting hole there. Already a nice defining line. That's where the next cut needs to be. Alright, we have our third piece. I'll mount this to the chassis. Might need a little sanding. We'll check it out first. And then I'll have only one more piece left to cut out. When I hold up the third piece there, it fits together nice. Yeah, I don't see no reason why I can't go ahead and glue that together. We'll glue our third piece next. Add some glue. We'll let that sit, and then we'll have one more piece to cut out. Alright, I have this piece that we have from the center section that was cut out, that was left over. I haven't measured it yet, but it's going to be something like this when I push them together. It would be neat if it didn't have to be cut any shorter and it just fit right in there. But I don't know yet. I'm going to let this dry a little longer, but that's what it's going to look like. I'll slide those together, and that's about the full length the chassis will be. If I have to shorten this, it's not going to be by much. But there we go. Alright, I snapped the back section of the van off for the interior piece, just to use it as a guide. When you put these two pieces together, it holds this piece right where it belongs, perfectly square. And then I can stack the two pieces together here, and this chrome piece will help line everything up and keep it right where I want it. I want it right there. So I'll put glue on it and then put those together. Do that now. Alright, I'll hold that right where I want it, and I'll let it dry. After this dries, we'll tackle the wheels and interior. I think I found the wheels that we're going to put on the party van. We're going to take them off this Dodge truck from the A-Team 1981 Dodge Ram Power Prospector. Let's get this baby cracked open and steel the wheels. haven't seen this casting, it's a really nice one. I think I might have even reviewed it on the channel. It's crazy that I'm going to take the wheels off of it, but not really. I think I'll customize it and turn it into something else, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's get the wheels off of it. You might be asking yourself, how is one truck going to cover it? I actually am taking the wheels off of 2 of these trucks. I already stole the wheels off of one that I had open, so I'll only be taking 1 set of wheels off of this for now. Maybe I should make it the back ones. There's our back wheels. I'll leave the front wheels on here. I'm thinking about turning this into a tow truck, maybe getting rid of the bed or altering the bed or something, and put some dualies on it. We'll set this aside for another build. I already started messing around with the wheels to see how they might fit. I slid this through the hole where the regular wheels would be. Not too bad in the front. I could probably do some sanding to make it work, but not the same back here. It's too high, so I'm going to have to mount the wheels on the bottom back here, because you know it is a limousine. It wouldn't be low, especially if you're going in and out of parking lots and stuff. Usually they're a little higher in the back, so I'll probably adjust the front too. The front should be a little bit higher, so putting them in the original spots won't work. I guess the wheels are quite bigger than a Hot Wheel, because it doesn't even want to fit in there really. I'm going to have to do some sanding, but I'll get it to fit, and we'll just put them on the bottom of the chassis. So I'll get these back over here. Okay, same with the front. Last one, just take the whole chassis out. Probably sand, well, we'll do the front last. I'll sand the groove on the bottom, and we'll put some type of straw in there, probably an ink pen, and I'll slide these in. Let me find what else we need and I'll get started. I haven't sanded anything yet. If we wanted to have an off-road feel, we could keep it high like this, which I really don't mind. I might do that. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to sand it down some to get the wheels to fit, so it's not going to be this high, but I'm going to get started on sanding the chassis neck and get the wheels fitted just right. Alright, I have my ink pen tube here that I got most of the ink out of. I'm going to cut 3 of these the same length. Here's our first one. Alright, I'm just going to use that as a template to get my other 2. Want that one to go flying. Okay. Alright. Take these back apart. Put the ink pen tubes out here on each one. And then I'll start sanding the grooves in the chassis that I can glue these into. Do that with each one. Alright. Got our wheels. Move the chassis again. Don't want to scratch the body up. I'm going to get my rounded file and sand a groove in here. Fortunately, the axle already has a perfectly straight line in all 3 spots, right where they need to be. So I'll just sand a groove in there, and this will sit in that groove in both places. I'll use my rounded file, and I went over each of these. I got the rounded marks that I want, as hopefully you can see there. The wheels for the back fit on there nicely. And I think that's the stance that I want in the back. Now I just need to do the same thing to the front. When I get enough material out of the way, we'll check the stance. You can see it's starting to get rounded already. Alright, everything seems to be fitting good. It rolls good. All the wheels are touching the ground. I'm going to glue them in place right there, and the wheels are solid. Just glue them down like before I glue them down, and go over each one of these with the file and scratch that surface up real good. And let that dry. Scratching these up helps the glue stick, and it will also help the paint stick because I'll probably paint the chassis. Alright, I'll let those dry, and we should have the chassis complete. Alright, while I'm waiting for the chassis to dry, I'm going to try to touch up this front area, get rid of this matte green and the lights there. If I can. Hard to get in between there, but I'm trying. Alright, it's thin down paint, so it's going to take a few coats, but yeah, it's going to work out. The wheels are dry, it's put together. I'm really digging it. I like how it looks. We'll go ahead and start constructing some kind of interior. I think I'm going to use this packaging from the A-Team truck where we got the wheels. And I think I'm going to cut that up and make that look like the carpet inside. And maybe use those stripes or something. We'll see where it goes. Okay. I don't think I'm going to keep the vehicle that's in the back. But I do like this little area here that hides the wheels. So I might cut this up in some way to save that. Even though we could leave the vehicle in here, it's so big, but I'm not planning on leaving it in there for now. I guess we'll start with that. We'll cut this. I kind of want to keep the sides of it, I think. Just cut the vehicle out of here. Definitely got to keep the back bumper. Look at it a little closer and see what I can do with it. Alright. Now I have the piece trimmed up the way I want it. I'll finish it up with a hand file. Anything else that needs to come off, I'll get that glued down, and then we'll start fabricating the floor with that piece of cardboard from the A-Team. I lightly sanded the underside of this with a file. Gluing this piece down will help strengthen up our chassis. And it gives us our back bumper that we need. Alright, since the carpet's going to be this color, I think that I'm going to paint the interior this turquoise color. Match the carpet. So I'm going to do that next. It usually takes a good while to dry. I'm going to hit this with a fine wire brush before I get started. And then I'll use that paint. Alright, yeah, I'm going to leave a little bit of chrome. I wiped off some of the paint where the console is there. It will take another coat probably, but yeah, it's going to have a little bit of chrome left. I think that will make good looking carpet for our van. I'll get it trimmed up and glued down next. Alright, here's how it's fitting after I trim the back. I just need to make one more little piece to cover the wheel humps. I'll do that with this leftover part. I'm going to cut it to fit right over top of it. There's a gap under here I want to get rid of. So I'm going to cut some matchsticks and glue them down in here. And they're the same width as this little piece that sticks up. You can see right there, a little bump there, a little bump here. And that'll keep the cardboard from sagging later. So I'm going to cut some matchsticks, glue them down, and then glue this on top of the matchsticks. Do that next. Alright, gluing those matchsticks down will also strengthen up the chassis. Alright, I just glued that front piece there. I'll do two more on the left and right. And maybe something in the center, maybe not. We'll see. I can go ahead and glue this paper down now that I have the matchsticks in place that I wanted. I'm just going to use all-purpose glue around the edge. No need to use super glue here. Now I can glue this carpet piece down. our faux carpet. I cut another strip earlier. I glued a piece of matchstick down there. I've got 3 more matchsticks cut. Gonna glue the shortest one that I cut right here. Then I've got a longer one I'm gonna put in front of it. Like that. And then once those are glued down, I got another one that's about the same shape as the longest one. I'm going to glue it like that so it looks like a step, is when all these pieces aren't moving around. Alright, and I have a step like that. Then I go over the wheel hump, and then I will cut another piece of this to glue down right there, and we'll have the wheel hump covered. I'll glue those pieces down there. There we go, we have like a little step. Now I can mark this, cut it, glue it down next. Alright, I'll let that dry. Alright, I found some seats from my spare parts. I'm going to fuse all 3 of these together and make one large seat to put on the driver's side of the vehicle right back here. I've studied it over. I think that's going to be the best place. I'll put all 3 of these right here, and that gives you a lot of room to walk around. I might put another seat back here. We'll see. I'm definitely going to glue these 3 together next, and then probably paint them after the glue dries. Making these one unit should make it easier to install. Let this glue set up and I'll have one seat. Alright, I painted those black edges the same color as the interior. Gives a little contrast. And I'm going to paint these seats that same turquoise color next. I'll let those dry. They'll probably take a couple of coats and then we'll put them into the van. I have this little square piece of wood. I think it's a plant stake. I cut 2 pieces off, glued them together. I'll make like a console to put behind the driver's seat area. I'm going to paint that black, I think, and there'll be like a little bar or something right there between the seats. And fill up that gap. Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. I might even could add another layer to it. Should I add another layer? I think I will. Maybe it should be three pieces tall. Alright, I got them glued together. I'm going to take the saw and cut this off and then glue it into the vehicle after I paint it black. Alright, I'll let this dry. Probably take a couple of coats, and this will be our console, or the bar. Could be a bar. I have this piece from a Matchbox camper. I cut the bottom section off. I'm going to paint the top of this. I'm going to paint it some color, maybe white, maybe black, I don't know. But I was thinking about putting it here on the back of the vehicle. Mostly to cover up this metal here, because when I cut the back doors off, there's a mounting post in the way, which made it very difficult to get the back doors off. You know, I could put something over that and bridge it back together, but I also thought about incorporating this into the build before I even did that, so I think this would be neat, because if you had this extended area back here, you could have like a dance area maybe in there. It'd be so tall. You could have a disco ball coming down, or you could even have a stripper pole coming down from the top of this to the van floor, which is another thought. But I think I'm going to go ahead and paint this because I'm going to glue that on the top there, I'm pretty sure. I'll do that next. Get this painted. I think I'm going to paint it black. The windows are kind of dark. I think white would be too bright. I'm going to paint it the same color I painted the console. Do that next. Before I put any paint on this, I'm going to take a wire brush and put some micro scratches on it. That will help the paint bond. So I'm going to spend a few minutes going over it with this, and then I'll paint it black. Alright, I'll let that dry. Probably take a few coats. I added a white stripe to the center of the seats. I'll have to touch up the blue a little bit, but I think that makes it a little more visible. I can go ahead and start figuring the window situation out. I know this piece is going to glue in here. I don't think there's any reason that I can't put it in there, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that piece in first. And this piece will go up in the front. Then I'll have to get two side pieces and figure out what I'm going to do on top. Put the back piece in now. Alright, this is going to be the next piece I cut to fit in there. I'll go ahead and get these last few pieces fit, and then we can almost get it put together. Alright, that's how the windows will fit. This section here could be a sunroof that's open, and maybe I'll patch this hole, so if I decide I want to take the camper off, it could just look like it has a sunroof there. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. I'll go ahead and glue the glass in place. Alright, I got the console or bar installed. I got the seats glued in. I cut two more pieces I'm going to put here, one on each side. Kind of make it look padded or something. Put one of these on each side. I have to touch them up still, but I'm going to glue those down next. I think we can go ahead and touch up the seats and put the body on the chassis. I'll probably end up painting the chassis. We're pretty close to being done. I have some scrap pieces of tape measure. I cut a little piece to fit in the gap in the roof. I painted it orange. I'm just waiting for the paint to dry. And it fits right over the hole. So I'll be able to patch it with that little piece of metal. I'm going to leave the hole in the center here because I like that. It kind of looks like a sunroof. I think that's the last thing to do. As soon as that's dry, I'll glue it on. We'll take the van over to the diorama and get some footage. I still want to use the camper shell. I can position it, you know, this way. It really doesn't matter where I put it once I cover that hole up. I could put it here, I could put it there. I could roll without it altogether. But I do think it looks kind of neat, especially if you want to do like a camping scene or something. It looks better more in the middle. I was thinking about putting it right there and then put a luggage rack on the back here or something would be cool. We'll see. Alright, I just painted the tail lights in, and I'll paint the door handles chrome next. Alright, I added a yellow stripe for some detail. I think everything's done. Let's take it over to the diorama and get some final footage. Here it is coming into the yard. Everybody's excited to see the new limo. Let's get it unloaded and take a walk around it. That's the only trailer I had that it would fit on because all my tow trucks were too small. Looks good on here. Here it is with my other recreational vehicles. I got the canvas on top for this scene. Kind of cool. I think it works out well. Here it is, parked next to your standard Dodge size van, and you can see there's a big difference. Pretty neat. Well, I think this sums up our 1994 Dodge Custom Coach Party van. I like how it turned out. It was a big project. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to further support the channel, you could hit that hype button. It seems to make a big difference. And you could always visit my eBay store. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I look forward to sharing my next project with you soon.
Well, hello everybody. That was a fun ride, wasn't it?